Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Spring 2023 GSA Forum. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. If you can hold tight while we make sure that everybody gets into the room today. As you do that, and as you're sitting here, we do have a digital sign-in list that will appear in the chat. There's going to be a link that's going to go up in the chat. If you will click that and go ahead and digitally sign in, we'll let you that we know that you're here. We're going to go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome everyone and say good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. This is the second GSA Forum in the series that we started last fall, and we're certainly glad that you could join us. My name is Christy Clark. I'm from Stantec. We help DWR with a lot of the facilitation support services, and really excited for you to be here today, but want to cover off a couple of housekeeping items that will be helpful. The first is that this is being recorded, and we found out from the fall forum that a lot of people wanted to go back and watch, especially the panelist presentations that were done. So we wanted to let you know that we will record this again. The general session will be out, and we will be sending that link to you with the directory of all of the folks who have joined today too. So you will be getting those follow-up little bits to be able to share. We've also made sure that we enabled the closed caption service today. If you look at the bottom bar toolbar, there's a little button that says CC. If you click on that, it will opt you in to being able to have closed captioning. Should you need to avail yourself of that, that's available for you. And then the other feature that we wanted to let you know that we have is direct messaging. So if there is another participant that you would love to connect with or have a conversation with, go ahead and feel free to select their name in the drop-down menu in the chat box. And that way you can talk to them directly, and it leaves the general chat box open for messages for everyone. So hopefully you'll be able to use that and connect. It's an important part of why everyone is here today. So speaking of everyone who's here, and I know that we can see names of participants, but we thought it might be fun to be able to see where people are from. So what we're going to do is in the chat, you will see a link that is to something. It starts with Poll EV. If you will click on that link and head to that link. And when you're there, if you will go ahead and just click on the basin or area that you represent and that you're from. And what that will do is it will real-time populate for us where everyone is from. All the green dots. All right. Got someone way up there. It looks like in Siskiyou County, almost to the border. Excellent. Nobody from San Diego yet. All right. Looks like a good distribution of everyone kind of across the board there. Excellent. I'll just give you a few more seconds to go ahead and put that in. I think it's super helpful to know that the basins that are represented span the state and a lot of different areas. If you do happen to click on the wrong area and want to redo it, if you scroll down, you'll be able to clear it and do it again. Although I'm fairly certain if you pick somebody else's basin, they would love to have you, the extra staff, to have you work in it. So maybe you want to stay there. Maybe they want you to stay there. All right. Thanks for that. Now we can kind of see where everybody is from. I want to introduce and officially kick this off by introducing the Deputy Director of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Program, Paul Gosselin. He's going to take us through a little introduction here, and then we're going to come back and do some other things before we hit the panelists. So Paul, good morning.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Christy. I'm really glad to be joining all the GSAs today on a forum and discussion on SGMA implementation. It's a very exciting time, but we recognize the challenges that this year has brought to many parts of the state, coming out of 3 years of drought, but the extreme weather we're experiencing, including significant flooding in some areas, is part of the adapting climate that we all need to be planning for and taking action in the future. So this is, I think, a good bellwether that this is not going to be a one-time occurrence. This is going to be continued challenges with aridification. Like capturing floodwaters and high flows to replenish groundwater basins, but also reducing groundwater use overall to ensure we aren't continuing to overdraft our groundwater basins in dry and drought years. Today's forum is centered around projects and management actions. We'll be using PMAs. I think all of you have been using those, that acronym for a long time. We recognize that one of the ways to demonstrate groundwater sustainability is through the implementation of the PMAs. And, we acknowledge how, in this implementation phase of SGMA, that, we want to make sure that we continue our local support of implementation so you can maintain local control and continue your journey towards sustainability. Also, we recognize and appreciate the commitment to Sustainable Groundwater Management Act that you all have made to date through the development and implementation of your plans. Every basin has adopted plans, which is super exciting, and a lot of work lies ahead. So we want to make sure, the GSA start significantly advancing the implementation of your plans. The 20-year horizon is underway, and it seems like it may be a long time, but time is moving rather quickly. So such implementation efforts include expanding monitoring efforts, filling data gaps, developing robust accounting methods, incorporating climate adaptation strategies, really increasing your outreach and engagement, and initiating projects and management actions, such as recharge projects, demand management, and land transition, drinking water mitigation programs, and water trading efforts. All of these are the slew of things that you've all been developing on your plate for the future. But today's discussion should stimulate thoughts and showcase ideas of other GSAs taking implementation actions. This is a great opportunity to share among your colleagues of ideas that hopefully will spur other approaches, and we can all learn from each other. And we're hoping to learn ourselves too at the department on how we can better support you all. So we hope you find this forum beneficial and supportive of your implementation of your plan and your long-term, your journey towards sustainability. So thank you. I'll turn it back to Christy, and I'm looking forward to a great forum.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Paul. So now in the next little section, we have coming up Keith Wallace, who is with DWR. He is a supervising engineer.
Thanks, Christy. Appreciate that. And my name is Keith Wallace, as Christy said, and I help lead the Outreach and Engagement section of DWR Sustainable Groundwater Management Office, and I'll be your moderator today. Thanks for taking the time to join us. We're just so excited to be hosting this event. We have a packed agenda, which I'll cover, in a few minutes here, and along with some meeting logistics. But first, I wanted to talk about the overall intent and objectives, of the GSA Forum series. Next slide, please. So we developed this forum as a platform, for you, the local agencies who are implementing GSPs and working towards sustainability, so that you can come together, and engage with one another, as Paul was talking about. But we held our most recent forum in the fall of last year, and that focused on funding and really moving forward. We want to continue to build out this platform, to make it a venue for discussing, all different types of GSP implementation topics that are really pertinent to a broad group of GSAs. And so we're planning to facilitate 2 of these forums each year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And we intend for these forums to really cover a lot of different things, as I mentioned, but also that we want to maintain this virtual format, or at least a component of this as best as we can, because we've really received some positive feedback about this approach. It allows many of you the opportunity to attend this event that otherwise you may not be able to. But we also plan to explore maybe some hybrid options in the future to be able to increase in-person engagement. Next slide, please. So what are we trying to accomplish with this in future GSA forums? Well, we've already touched on this a little bit. But just to reiterate, the main purpose of these forums is, to create a space where you all can exchange ideas and interact. We want to highlight, the SGMA successes to see if they can be replicated in other parts of the state, but we also feel it's important to share, those challenges and lessons learned in hopes of avoiding, those challenges elsewhere. That stated, this is really not a place, or this forum is not a place where DWR or its panelists are providing specific directions or instructions. That's just not possible, given that every basin has its own unique, circumstances. Instead, what we're doing is providing this venue to facilitate these discussions, make connections and foster professional networks. Lastly, there's also an important, an opportunity here for you to provide some input on potential state assistance efforts, and this would be done through our breakout session, which will happen later in the program. Next slide, please. So here's our agenda for the day. We have three main components, which are a panel presentation with a question and answer session, one breakout that where we'll be splitting you into smaller groups to give you an opportunity to interact with some of the participants and connect on the implementation or planning, for specific projects and management actions. And then the third item is that we're going to have a DWR assistance update, segment where we're going to provide you with the latest on our assistance efforts. And then in addition to all this, we're going to have a couple of engagement opportunities through icebreakers. And then Christy Clark from Stantec, who will continue to lead, as we go throughout this program. Next slide, please. So in terms of the logistics for today, please keep your microphone muted and your camera off if you're not speaking. Try to ensure that your Zoom profile has a first and last name associated with it, just so we can be familiar with one another. State your name before speaking. And then if you encounter any technical difficulties, please contact Christy Clark, as she is our Zoom meeting host. You can do that through the direct message on the chat function. Next slide, please. So those of you that have attended Signal workshops that have been hosted by DWR over the last several years have probably seen this who, what, where, and how figure before. And today's theme is going to focus on that how component, because we're spotlighting the project and management actions and really highlighting the progress towards Signal implementation. And PMAs are an important component of how GSAs plan to achieve their sustainability goal. So during today's program, through both the panel presentation and the breakout session, we're going to provide you with an opportunity to do a deeper dive into some specific projects and management actions, and to connect on the different challenges and potential solutions related to the planning and implementation of these projects and management actions. Can you advance one click, please? Thanks. And then lastly, PMAs are also a part of an adaptive and interactive process that will need to be adjusted as conditions change over time, as new data becomes available, and maybe the efficacy of project and management actions are better understood. Next slide, please. So to help us with today's theme, representatives from three different GSAs will be walking us through the various PMAs that they are pursuing to meet their sustainability goals. And so the representatives include Kristen Sickey, the Executive Officer of the Yolo Sub-Basin Groundwater Agency, Brian Lockwood, the General Manager of the Pajaro Valley Water Management Agency, and then Hasham Al-Tal, who's the Chair, and then Matt Beeman, who's a staff for the Merced Irrigation Urban Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And we asked these agencies to be a part of today's panel, not just to highlight some of the project management actions they are implementing, but because all three of these agencies have also recently signed on to a pilot program to use and improve the groundwater accounting platform. And so what this platform is it's being developed through a partnership with DWR, local water agencies, the California Water Data Consortium, and the Environmental Defense Fund, to make an open source accounting platform freely available for GSAs. Sorry about that. To help them manage their groundwater supplies and meet their sustainability goals. This platform enables water managers and landowners to track water supplies and use, to create water budgets, model scenarios, and trade allocations of water within a district or basin, And to get more information on this innovative tool, we're sharing some resources with you right now via the chat function. We've connected this with today's theme of PMAs because accurate accounting of groundwater supplies and demands will help inform GSAs as to when they need to implement specific PMAs. And so our presenters today will touch on this platform and how they envision utilizing it to help them with implementation. So now I'll pass it over to Christy for our next activity.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Keith. Well, you've learned a little bit about what it is that we're going to do today in the agenda and who some of the speakers are, but we thought it was pretty important to find out who all of you are. So we can see names on a list of participants, but we wanted to get a little bit of a feel for what type of role you play in Sigma. So we know we have a wide variety of folks who are joining us today, be it from the administration of a GSA, maybe a plan manager, perhaps you're a consultant, or maybe part of an NGO, nonprofit organization. So there's a poll that is up on your screen. If you will go ahead and just select what your primary role is in working in Sigma and working with a GSA, we'll give you a moment to do that. And you've successfully entered the poll because you'll get a little message that it's accepted it and submitted. So if you still see the little box with the options, please feel free to go ahead and select an option. All right. Give everyone just another couple seconds to do that. And here we go. Look at that. It's kind of an even split of different people who are joining us today. So lots of folks representing the actual GSAs themselves, some other interested party. We've got lots of DWR staff. One thing I do want to say is we have spent a good deal of time preparing for you today with facilitators and reporters who will work the breakout sessions. And so we've got lots of wonderful DWR staff joining us to be able to do that. And all right. So we'll go ahead and close that out. Just before we go over and start to look at the panelists' presentations and some of the question and answer sessions for those panelists that Keith highlighted, we wanted to get an idea of what surrounding PMAs, again, the projects and management actions, what it is about those that you're coming here today, like what kind of things are top of mind for you. So in the chat box, we're going to drop that same link again to the poll that we did, the polling area. And what we'd like you to do this time is to enter a single word that is indicative of the challenges that you have when it comes to implementing, managing, just kind of approaching the PMAs in your basin or sub-basin. So if you will enter one word into it, and just one word at a time. So I know that Atlee's going to share this with us so that we see it. If you'll just enter one word, if you enter two, it will split them up and it will probably take out the meaning that you intended for it. You can enter up to 3 words. And if you decide on a different word, you can scroll down and you can enter a new word. So here we're getting to see a little bit of everybody's real-time responses. That funding one, always the big one in the room. Excellent. Stakeholders, another good one. The outreach and engagement, that will be part of our breakout sessions. Is the permitting will also be something we'll be looking at and doing. So, fantastic. Give people just another 30 seconds or so to fill this in. All right. You can continue to populate that kind of as we go forward and continue on. But hopefully these will show you that there are other people who have these same things top of mind that you do, or other challenges that they have, or things that they're looking for solutions for. And so hopefully today we'll be able to provide you with some of those solutions and connecting you to other people, having you hear case studies of different projects that people have done. There are lots of different portions and parts of this presentation today that we hope will address some of these things that you have pressing concerns and needs for. So with that, we will go ahead and go over to the panelist portion of ours, and I'm going to turn it back over to Keith Wallace, who will be our moderator today for that. Keith?
Thanks, Christy. As she said, we're going to move into the panel portion of the forum. This is where the GSA representatives are going to walk us through the various projects and management actions they have adopted as part of the GSP implementation. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we've assembled a diverse group of GSAs for this panel, to showcase, their PMAs, they're currently considering, or implementing. And today, each panelist will provide a brief, about 10 to 15 minute presentation. And if you have a question for the presenter, please specify, which presenter you have a question for in the chat, so we could ask it, during the question and answer session that's going to be held at the end of this segment. So next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, our panelists, and so this is in the order of their appearance for today. It include Kristen Sicky, and then Brian Lockwood, and then Hisham Otal and Matt Beeman are going to jointly present last. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and kick it off with Kristen.
Good morning. Thank you, Keith. As mentioned, I'm Kristen Sicky. I serve as the General Manager of the Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, and also the Executive Officer of our local GSA, the Yolo Subbasin Groundwater Agency. As mentioned, today I'll be talking about the projects and management actions. I will provide a brief overview of the background of our local irrigation district and the Yolo Subbasin Groundwater Agency before then giving you the essentially basin setting of the Yolo Subbasin. And then I'll highlight our projects and management actions that were adopted and briefly touch on that pilot project that Keith Wallace had mentioned, and then close with the long-term policy considerations for our subbasin. So, as the general manager of the Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, we run a local irrigation district here. The polygon shown in yellow is our service area. It covers about 200,000 acres in Western Yolo County. However, our operational area extends further northwest into Lake County. We manage and operate the dam at Clear Lake, Cache Creek Dam, and then Indian Valley Reservoir. So we control surface water irrigation releases and floodwater releases at both of those facilities. The flows then travel down Cache Creek and come into Yolo County, where we divert the flows into our irrigation system at the Cape Diversion Dam. Next slide, please. The Yolo Subbasin, here's essentially the setting of it, is almost contiguous with the county boundary. We actually went through a process with DWR to consolidate. We used to have 4 subbasins within Yolo County, and we consolidated to 1 so that we could have 1 groundwater sustainability agency and develop 1 groundwater sustainability plan. However, of course, we recognize that groundwater does not stop at that political boundary, and that we coordinate closely with our neighbors. So to the north, we have Colusa Subbasin, to the south, we have Solano Subbasin, and then northeast there is Sutter Subbasin, central east is North American Subbasin, and then southeast is South American Subbasin. Next slide, please. So our agency, when we were creating the GSA, we wanted to be as collaborative as possible. So we essentially asked for all water managers and eligible entities to come and partner with us. So we have 26 member agencies, which includes the irrigation districts, the county, reclamation districts, the University of California, Davis. It includes small community service districts. It includes the Farm Bureau. We have an environmental representative. We have mutual water companies. We really did our best to try to include everyone in that in the process, and to ensure that whoever wanted to participate could. And in recognizing that the subbasin is rather large, we have split it into what's called management areas. So here you can see, based on the different colors, we have 6 different management areas that do recognize the hydrogeologic distinctions within the subbasin. So again, going back to those 4 subbasin delineations that is considered in this illustration here. What we're struggling with in implementation is actually standing up these advisory committees that are meant to be part of the management areas. So managing a 26-member board allows us to have a process of meeting 5 times a year and working through GSP implementation, but we really have to stand those advisory committees up so that we can get to the smaller local scale of those unique hydrogeologic distinctions. Next slide, please. So again, here's the management area figure, just a little bit larger. And, you know, it's really helpful for keeping perspective on how we need to not have a one size fits all. In Clarksburg, groundwater elevations are at 6 feet. And in the North Yolo, kind of Yolo Zamora area, we have recognized there's issues with subsidence. And so we really do want to make sure we consider the local conditions and that we have the local stakeholders, the landowners, the farmers, any beneficial user participating at that level. And so again, that's what we're hoping to get into next with implementation. And next slide, please. Thank you. Here's just an illustration of the land use within our subbasin. I know this is sort of tiny, but purple is vineyards. The tan or brown is deciduous and young perennials. You can see pasture and green. Rice is that sort of darker blue-green color. Citrus and tropical is the peachish color. And this just gives you an idea of where some of the irrigated acreage is. The irrigated acreage is the subset of this land use, but also maybe where water is needed and the expansion of certain development that's occurred. So next slide, please. The Yolo Subbasin Groundwater Agency has a website, yologroundwater.org, where we have a groundwater data map that includes all of the monitoring data for the subbasin. And we've been very fortunate to have partnered with the Department of Water Resources, since the 1950s, where we've been able to have a long historical record of groundwater elevations. And this has allowed us to have a lot of credibility with the community because they feel confident in being able to see the data. And so this map here on our website shows the periodic monitoring wells in blue, which are the wells that are sampled every spring and fall. And it includes all of our partners. So DWR, the Bureau, UC Davis, City of Davis, City of Winters, City of Woodland. It includes continuous monitoring wells in red, which are our SCADA wells that allow us to see real-time depth to water measurements. And then it includes the representative wells that are part of our GSP in yellow. And so when you click on those, you can see a hydrograph. It's a pretty friendly website, easy to use. And it's something, again, that's helped to establish credibility with the community because we're able to show them the data that's been collected, and it helps to give them a better understanding of what's going on in their area. Next slide, please. With the representative wells, this is the historical hydrograph from 1975 to fall of 2022. And this is something that we recently submitted in our annual report to the Department of Water Resources. So this is showing the average groundwater level for 62 wells, those representative wells that were selected in our groundwater sustainability plan. And it is providing the average fall elevation, the low point on there, and then the average spring elevation, the high point. And it's color coded by water year type based on DWR's classification of the water year. And this is, again, also something that illustrates the use of groundwater in our area. We are heavily developed agricultural area. And so you can see that pattern of groundwater use during the irrigation season and then recovery over spring. Next slide, please. Here's something that was submitted in our groundwater sustainability plan, again, just to provide the setting or the understanding of our subbasin. It's illustrating areas that have mixed surface water and groundwater availability. So they're conjunctive use districts. You can see those in purple. And then it shows the districts that have historically primarily been using surface water. And then the brown areas are solely groundwater dependent. And this is a helpful illustration for us to demonstrate the need to provide surface water in those brown areas when we can, but to also understand that the blue areas are currently having to reconsider their groundwater usage because of voluntary agreement discussions and kind of what's coming down the road here in the future. Next slide, please. One thing that's come up recently is we as a whole believe that the groundwater sustainability plan or the groundwater itself, the subbasin, has proved to be sustainable historically. However, we have started to notice areas of special concern. And I apologize, it seems like the formatting kind of got a little wonky on this slide. We have seen these areas showing declining groundwater levels or subsidence or an expansion of property that was previously unirrigated. And we're trying to understand more about what that means and how we should focus our efforts with projects and management actions in these areas. Next slide, please. Another thing that's come up is from the drought, we had a significant amount of domestic well owners that were impacted. This is a dry well heat map to provide confidentiality and not give you the exact location of where these dry wells are being reported, but to give you an understanding of maybe the intensity or the frequency with which they're occurring in a certain area. And so this is something that the Yolo Subbasin Groundwater Agency has wanted to understand more about. Is it more of an operational constraint, or is it more of a construction issue where maybe the domestic well was not constructed properly, or it's not deep enough, or is it more of a kind of a red flag of what's to come? Next slide, please. So our projects and management actions. In our plan, we had adopted 12 management actions, and we adopted 75 projects. And that's a lot. So it's hard to feel like we're actually starting to make progress with them, because we just submitted our groundwater sustainability plan in 2022, and we just submitted our second annual report. And so trying to find the time and the funding to start dedicating ourselves towards implementation is proving a little challenging, especially with things coming up such as executive orders and well permitting and all of that. However, we did want to do our best in prioritizing things. So next slide. We have focused a lot this year, and last year we prepared for it, for groundwater recharge to occur. So Dunnigan up in North Yolo area was able to complete a groundwater recharge project where they were able to dewater part of the Tehama-Calosa Canal and put some of that water into Buckeye Creek for recharge, and then to flood some agricultural fields for a partnership with the Nature Conservancy in providing 500 acres of shorebird habitat. Next slide, please. Here's just another picture. DWR had taken this picture when they went out for the media event that took place there, just highlighting the success of the Dunnigan Area Recharge Program. Excuse me, next slide. Another program that was able to occur this year is the Yolo Irrigation District's Winter Recharge Program. So as I mentioned, we divert flows at the Cape Bay Diversion Dam into our network of 160 miles of canals. So this is the Cape Bay Diversion Dam, and if you go to the next slide, you can see the network of our canal system. And so one click will take it and show Cache Creek running down, and then the second click will show 160 miles of our canal system. And so what we do in the winter months is we divert any excess flows in Cache Creek, we put them into the canal system, and then the next slide will provide a summary of the years we've done this. So 2016 was our best year, where we diverted 11,000 acre feet for recharge. The canal system essentially acts as a holding pond or a retention basin and allows us to then recharge the area. This year, we've been able to divert for about 20 days for 4,300 acre feet. And unfortunately, the storm events caused significant damage in our canal system, and we've just been involved in repairing that and weren't able to take advantage of the opportunity as much as we had hoped. Next slide, please. Woodland has an aquifer storage and recovery program. They can store up to 4.5 million gallons of water per day. They've been very active in doing that. Another really excellent program or project that we like to highlight. Next slide, please. Moving to our management actions, what we've considered primarily is more of them as programs. So this is a subsidence monitoring program in partnership with DWR and our own surveys. We have really good data about historical subsidence monitoring and surveying that's gone on. And so we just want to make sure that we're continuing to invest in that and continuing to get that data moving forward. Next slide, please. The conjunctive water use program is really important for our region. Again, agriculture is an important part of our economy, and we want to continue to promote agriculture within the region. And so we want to ensure that the conjunctive use is being optimized so that surface water is used when it's available and the groundwater is recharged with any excess flows. And then the groundwater can be utilized or relied on during drought seasons. Next slide, please. Domestic well impact mitigation program, as I showed with that slide, we really want to get a better understanding of why it's happening, where domestic wells are being impacted, and how we can establish the appropriate program to mitigate that. And so next slide shows just a draft schematic of how we've preliminarily started to think through this. And this is based on kind of understanding what other GSAs are starting to do. Is one example was taking an economic assessment of the groundwater levels. So essentially in setting higher thresholds or setting thresholds that are where less domestic wells will be impacted, it seems like there would be a higher impact to agriculture, and then setting lower thresholds where more domestic wells are impacted, that would be a lower impact to agriculture. And so we really want to find that perfect balance in ensuring that there's no undesirable results, but making sure that both parties or all beneficial users are not impacted as much as possible. Next slide, please. As Keith mentioned, we are partnering with EDF and Water Data Consortium. We're really excited about it. I think Keith did a great job in explaining what it is, but the primary purpose or objective that we'd like to see is rolling out a voluntary allocation system and trying to find the best solutions in areas where we may start to have issues or we may start to think there are areas of special concern. And of course, the recharge credit system. It seems like farmers are becoming more excited about the idea of having a recharge basin and getting credit in the system. I don't know what's going on, but I think I just had one more slide. So long-term policy considerations. One thing we're wanting to do a better job of is managing the scale and the coordinated response to changes. We feel like as a subbasin as a whole, we're doing great, but managing to scale of that smaller, finer resolution is difficult. And we want to know who should be reacting, how we should be responding, what policies need to be in place. Integrating land use decisions and water budget analyses. This is a great example of something that's come up with the well permitting process, is how can we make smarter decisions about land use, classifications, zoning based on the water budget or the water that's available below that property. And lastly, promoting optimized conjunctive use for long-term sustainability. Again, we really want to exercise the aquifer and we want to make sure that we're using that surface water when it's available, recharging with any excess water, and then using and relying on that bank account, that savings account that we have during the dry years. That is all I had, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Really appreciate you presenting that information. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have questions, for Kristen, please put them in the chat, and we'll field those during the Q&A portion, of this. So, next slide, please. Next, I'd like to welcome Brian Lockwood, who's the General Manager for the Pajaro Valley Water Management Agency. Brian, take it away.
All right, thank you, Keith. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. We'll move on to the next slide. So we're going to go from the sort of YOLO area over to the coast, and I'm going to give you a short presentation, hopefully, on what we're doing here in Pajaro. talk about our projects and programs, touch on this water accounting platform. I've got a couple slides on funding all this, and I'd like to start just by acknowledging all the work of our board of directors, our staff, and our consultants who've helped us to get to where we are today. And also, we've received a lot of support and been in a lot of communications with Department of Water Resources, State Water Resource Control Board, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and National Marine Fisheries Services, as well as the Regional Water Quality Control Board, as we've worked to advance our projects and some of our management actions. And without all their support, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about the background now, and you can go on. Here's a map that sort of shows where the Pajaro Valley Water Management Agency district is, and we're nestled between Santa Cruz to the north and Monterey to the south. The larger blue area represents the watershed, but the black lines show the boundary of the Water Management Agency as it was established by the Agency Act in 1984. Got another slide coming up that shows the groundwater basin itself. We'll move on to the next slide now, please. So we are a special district formed 30 years before the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. And our goal really is to achieve sustainable groundwater resources while also maintaining agriculture. That was one of the main reasons this agency was put together. Our boundaries touch portions of Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito counties, and there's just one incorporated city. That's the city of Watsonville. Next slide, please. So in this slide here, you've got the blue line that shows the groundwater basin, and then our black line, our statutory boundary, is also shown, as well as our neighboring basins. We are a critically overdrafted groundwater basin. To the north, we've got another critically overdrafted basin. This is the Santa Cruz County, Mid-County Groundwater Basin. And then to the south is the Salinas Valley, another critically overdrafted basin. All three basins have approved plans in place. Our plan was an alternative to a groundwater sustainability plan that was approved in 2019. You could just click through the build slide here if you don't mind. I didn't intend to send the build. So we had developed various basin management plans, which were sort of predecessors to a groundwater sustainability plan. The first one in the early 90s, and then it'd been updated several times, with the most recent update getting adopted by our board, along with the programmatic EIR in the spring of 2014. In 2015, our board elected to become a groundwater sustainability agency, and we worked in coordination with our neighbors in the state to do some jurisdictional boundary modifications to make the boundary coterminous with our statutory boundary. And then we proceeded to submit our GSP alternative. We heard back in 2019 and immediately began submitting, or maybe even before we heard, we started submitting annual reports each year. And this past, I guess, a year and a half ago or so, we had gone through a stakeholder process to develop the first 5-year update to our GSP alternative, and that was also submitted. I think there's one more click there, and then we can go to the next slide. Okay, so a little bit about the state of our basin. We are an agricultural basin. The crops are different here than what Kristen just described. We produce a lot of organic, high-value fruit and vegetable crops. In this map, the red is a snapshot of the strawberries that are being grown within the valley. The green is vegetables, and purple are raspberries and blackberries. The brown, especially in the northwest corner, is apple orchards. And the valley used to be predominantly apples. As we've seen a conversion from apples to the higher value berries and vegetables, we've also seen a ramp up in water use. That transition started to occur right after World War II or so, and has just increased through time as we've seen more apple orchards come out and more berries go in. So there's about 28,000 irrigated acres, and crop value is estimated at about $1 billion per year. Next slide, please. Almost all the water that feeds the crops and serves for domestic and industrial commercial purposes is groundwater. So it varies year by year, but over 92% in a typical year. This map shows all of the wells within the valley. The darker circles are the agricultural wells, and the lighter circles are the domestic wells. We do have a metering program, so we do install meters on those wells that pump more than 10 acre-feet a year. That was an ordinance our board adopted in the mid-90s. Now we've got probably about 1,100 agricultural wells that are metered. There's about 1,200 residential wells that are not metered. We do have some other water sources too. We produce recycled water, and I'll touch on that in a couple of slides. If you could advance to the next, I'd appreciate it. Because our wells are metered, we have a really good understanding of how much water is being extracted from the basin each year. And this figure, which shows from the year 2000 to 2021, shows water use within the valley. The dark blue lines is representative of agricultural groundwater extractions. The purple portions of those columns represents our supplemental water supplies, which include recycled water and managed aquifer recharge and recovery supplies, as well as a little bit of groundwater that we use as blend sources. The green bars coming down from the top are reflective of average rainfall per year, where our average tends to be about 22 inches in a given year. And we've seen a nice reduction in groundwater, especially since about 2014. The drought did make water levels more pumping occur, but we're seeing lower levels than we were, say, between 2006 and 2014, which is very good for our critically overdrafted basin. Next slide, please. But all that pumping does have an effect on the valley, and this is a snapshot of the groundwater contour maps that were included in our annual report this past year. And as you can see, we've got water levels that are shown below sea level in red, and they extend all the way back to the San Andreas Fault, which is marked by that brown line towards the backside of our basin. That is a no-flow boundary. So groundwater levels below sea level about 10 miles in, and the next slide shows the extent of seawater intrusion as of 2020. So the water within our area that's intruded in many cases is still usable. In lots of cases, it's got concentrations of chloride at or about 100 parts per million chloride. In some cases, it's much higher. This map indicates the highest extent of water that we've been able to find. That's up to about 250 parts per million, where it starts to become unusable for crops or for drinking water without some treatment. Next slide. So I'm going to now touch on what the agency's been doing to mitigate these problems. We have a distribution system that's been constructed over the course of about 20 years, and it extends over a large portion of the area that's intruded. Our system, however, has supplies an area where the demand is much greater than our supply. So that area shown in purple has an average demand of about 10,000 acre feet per year. At present, our supply is about 50% of that. So we have to go through a system where the growers, this is all agricultural irrigation, it's the recycled water and the recovered water from the Harkins Slough facility. We schedule with our growers when they're going to take the water orders, and we make the schedules be spread out over the course of the day and over the course of the week so we can provide as much water as possible. And you can go to the next slide, please. The water that goes into that distribution system, which includes about 21 miles or 23 miles of water conveyance pipeline that we call our coastal distribution system, is supplied by our Harkins Slough facility. This is a diversion facility that was constructed about the year 2000. It takes water from the sluice system in the wintertime, the rainfall runoff, and diverts it and sends it up to our infiltration basin, where we put more than 10,000 acre feet into the ground since then. And we use a network of recovery wells to pump the water back out throughout the course of the year and put it into our distribution system. Our water recycling facility became operational in 2009. While it has the capacity of producing 4,000 acre feet per year, we right now are capped at about 3,000 acre feet per year because of that's the amount of wastewater effluent that's heading to the facility. The conservation programs throughout the valley have been successful, and we've seen some businesses move out of the valley that has decreased the amount of wastewater that's being treated. So in the summertime, we are treating and delivering the vast majority of wastewater that's going to our facility. And in the wintertime, that water is getting treated to secondary standards and being discharged. We have evaluated some potential projects that could make a use of the wintertime wastewater, but those projects are still too costly, and there's other projects that I'll talk about that our committees have recommended we advance. So we'll talk about that on the next slides here. Our effort that began in 2010 and concluded with the adoption of the Basin Management Plan and a programmatic EIR in 2014 really is summarized by this pie chart here, which was our committee said, we have to find water supplies to offset about 12,100 acre feet per year is our long-term groundwater deficit. We're going to do that by finding ways to conserve up to 5,000 acre feet per year, and then optimizing our existing water supply facilities so we could get about 3,000 acre feet a year more out of them, and then developing new water supply facilities to produce about 4,100 acre feet per year. As for the conservation program, our objectives were to achieve 75% of that goal by 2020, and I'm pleased to report that we did, and to receive 100% of the goal by 2023, and we'll see. I think we're going to make it. So next slide, I'll start to talk about what these projects are. I'm not going to go into all of our projects because time won't allow. I'm just going to focus on one management action here and another project. The Agricultural Water Conservation Program is something that we started in earnest in about 2014. We partnered with the Resource Conservation District of Santa Cruz County and the UC Cooperative Extension. And through this program, we work with agricultural producers to provide irrigation efficiency and technical assistance. This could include things like doing distribution and pressure uniformity measurements, installing flow meters and telemetry units so the irrigators can see their data over the cloud. We work with them to assess their irrigation scheduling. We've done sprinkler to drip conversions. We've done some neat things with using clear drip tape and putting food coloring in it so the irrigators themselves can see how the water is being dispersed through their system. We've used soil moisture sensors to tell us about when the root zone is saturated and when you can stop irrigating. We have a large outreach and education program that's part of that. It includes training for tools like Crop Manage, developed by the UC Cooperative Extension, which help growers understand what the reference ET is in the valley based on the CIMMYS network, and then help them adjust their irrigation scheduling to meet the ET based on where the crop is in its life cycle. We also provide financial assistance as part of this program. Our board right now has allocated up to $100,000 per year for growers to do things like test high efficiency sprinkler heads, for instance, or test converting from sprinkler to drip in a portion of their ranch or something along those lines. The program's been pretty successful, and we've been increasing the rebates every few years as the program comes back to the board. Presently, it's funded at about $1.3 million per year for the technical support and $100,000 a year for the rebates. We try to get the growers to be in our program for about a 3-year period, where the first year we're monitoring and evaluating. Year 2, we're working with them to maybe have a test plot as part of their overall operation and see what our irrigation scheduling would look like compared to theirs, and then do a compare and contrast at the end of the season. And then hopefully in year 3, hoping to deploy those practices, what's been learned over their ranch overall and into other ranches within the valley, and I think also in some cases outside of our basin. Next slide, please. Our most major water supply project that's advancing right now is called the College Lake Integrated Resources Management Project. College Lake is an interesting case. There's a reclamation district that's been operating there since about 1910. And the job of the reclamation district each year has been to pump all the water out of the lake, downstream into the creek and into the river and out to the ocean, so that the property owners can reclaim the land underneath the lake and then lease it out and farm it. That's the most visible project, I think, in our community, and our stakeholders said it's a waste to be pumping all that water out. And so we've developed the project based on our community input to turn that into a reservoir in the wintertime, and then be able to treat and deliver the water to our existing network of pipelines in the coastal area throughout the summer. The project has been modeled to yield between 1,800 and 2,300 acre feet per year, with a maximum yield of 3,000 acre feet, as limited by our water right permit that we've received, has a maximum flow of 6,000 gallons a minute. We are in the construction phase now. We've issued notice to proceed to the contractor. It's going to cost approximately $70 million from the contractor's perspective. We've got another $12 million in contracts awarded for things like construction management, environmental monitoring services during construction, engineering services during construction, and outreach. There are some improvements, and we've had the support of CDFW and NIMS because our new facility is going to include a fish passage feature that the existing facility that's over 100 years old does not have. So steelhead are threatened and do utilize this lake basin. Through this project, we're going to improve their habitat and give them an in and an out through the lake at any time. The project includes that weir structure with the fish passage. There's going to be a water treatment plant that's primary job is to knock out the suspended sediment, lower the turbidity, and then disinfect the water before sending it by a 6-mile pipeline shown in red on this figure to connect up next to our water recycling facility and all of our pipelines in the coastal area to send water to Santa Cruz and Monterey counties. The water that we send to the coast will offset groundwater production, will be used for farming, and will help to alleviate groundwater overdraft and slow seawater intrusion. Next slide, please. We also have a program that is now formal. It's called our Recharge Net Metering Program. We work with landowners, the University of California at Santa Cruz, and the Resource Conservation District on this. Through this program, we've found areas that are suitable for groundwater recharge versus areas that are less suitable. We try to find property owners. These are folks that have large ranches, maybe below a sub-watershed where there's water to capture. And then we work with them. They build infiltration basins on their property, and PB Water's role is to provide a rebate to them based on the amount of water that is infiltrated. And that rebate is 50% times whatever our augmentation charge is in any given year. Presently, it's $282 an acre foot, multiplied by the volume of water they infiltrate. That helps to get more water into the basin. We measure the water quality, and we measure how much water is infiltrated. Next slide. And so part of why we were interested in joining the pilot program with EDF and the Water Data Consortium and DWR and the water boards was because we thought that it'd be useful to help advance the water accounting platform. We thought that maybe some of our tools, especially our metered production, could be useful in doing sort of compare and contrasts against OpenET to kind of get a sense of how do the two line up, because we have a hydrologic model built with the USGS that simulates water use in various areas within our basin. We have meters on the wells, which very accurately measures how much water is extracted from the basin. And now there's OpenET that can give an estimate of consumptive use. So in this figure here, you can see a bunch of red circles in different colors. Those are all metered production wells, and each different area represents a different water balance subregion or virtual farm in our valley. And we've just started doing some comparisons to look at how our data compares to OpenET. We've done these kinds of comparisons previously to see how well does the meter production data align with hydrologic results from the modeled simulations. And that is an ongoing effort, and we'll have to report back later on where we end up on that one. Next slide, please. Okay, I've got 2 more slides and I'm all done. I just wanted to touch on funding mechanisms based on what we've talked about with DWR and preparing for this. You know, this is a special year because we've got some large, large revenue that's going to be coming in to support our project. In fact, tonight our board is going to be contemplating issuing certificates of participation. These are essentially bonds that will be as much as maybe $40 million to help cover the cost of the College Lake project. A portion of it is covered by a grant we've received from Department of Water Resources that covers all pre-construction activities up to $7.6 million. In a typical year, we receive augmentation charges around $12 million, plus or minus, and about $2 million from our delivered water charge. We have been invited by the EPA to submit for a WIFIA loan. So we anticipate that loan will be about $45 million, and it'll hit in the first quarter of 2024. Once that come in, that'll finish paying off our expenses related to the College Lake project and support construction of our next project, which is a diversion off of Struve Slough. So it's another managed aquifer recharge and recovery project. In the past, we've also been successful in receiving SRF loans from the State Water Board. They've been very helpful in helping us to upgrade our water recycling facility. The last slide in this presentation just shows you a more typical budget. These are from our 2020 to 2021 audited revenues and expenditures. And you can see there we were more like $20 million in revenues or a little less, and about $14.5 million in expenditures. We had a small project going on at that time to build about 10,000 feet of pipeline to expand our coastal distribution system. But a lot of our expenditures have to do with facility operations, the administration of the agency, and then, of course, paying back our loans, our debt service. And in a typical year, a large portion of our revenue will come from augmentation charges as opposed to COPs or WIFIA loans. So we do have a lot of work ahead of us. We have a lot more projects and programs that I don't have time to talk about today, but we're very excited that after nearly 20 years of planning, College Lake is moving towards construction. Hopefully that'll be done in about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. And we are seeing some success through time with the result of all these management actions, in that the conservation program appears to be achieving its goal of 5,000 acre-feet per year. More water supply projects are being built, and we've expanded our distribution system so that we can deliver more of the supplemental water supplies. The last slide in the presentation includes some contact information. So if you have any questions or want to reach out to me later, this is how you can get to me. And again, I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Brian. Really appreciate you presenting that information. And again, I know Emily's putting this in the chat, but if you have questions for Brian or for Kristen, please put those in the chat and we'll get to them at the question and answer session. Next slide, please. So next, I'd like to welcome Hisham Altal and Matt Beeman with the Merced Irrigation Urban Groundwater Sustainability Agency. So Hisham and Matt, go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Hisham Altal. I work with Merced Irrigation District. I am the DGM for Water Supply and Water Rights, and with me is Matt Beeman. He's also a staff of the Merced Irrigation District, and he sits actually on a board on the Third Lock Groundwater Basin, where we have a portion of Merced Irrigation District that happens to fall in that basin. But for this presentation, we'll be concentrating on the Merced Basin, which is south of the Merced River. Next slide, please. So the general location of our basin is east of the San Joaquin River and south of the Merced River, north of the Chowchilla River. The overall acreage of the basin is about 500,000 acres. And if you look at the lower right map there, you will see that the Merced Irrigation Urban GSA is in the blue. And we are about 160,000 acres in this basin, 130,000 acres of ag land, and we're surrounded by the Merced Subbasin GSA in green and another small one called Thinner Island. So the gross acreage of the Merced Subbasin GSA is 337,000 acres, with 170,000 irrigated acres, which are mostly almost predominantly on groundwater. The GSA that we have is all within the boundary of Merced Irrigation District, and MID is the only agriculture body. The rest of it are three cities of Merced, Atwater, Livingston, and has the communities of Plano del Grande, and then also the community of Winton. And then we have a stakeholder guidance committee that is working within our basin. Obviously, we have a groundwater sustainability plan, and we opted to go with one groundwater sustainability plan for the entire basin with our sister agencies, and we opted to have our own GSA because of the way we manage water within our district, and being able to work with the agencies. Most of the domestic wells in the basin the vast majority of them, 99% of them, are in the Merced Urban GSA, and on top of all the urban, obviously, municipal wells that we have. Next slide. Some unique things about the Merced groundwater basin. The reason it was named as a critically overdrafted basin is because it has a subsidence issue on the southwest corner, which was originated in the Chowchilla groundwater basin south of us, but has been propagating over time to the north. We have a saline water. It's a challenge along the San Joaquin River, which is a natural phenomenon where we have an area that was under the ocean at one time and now it's not, and with more groundwater pumping happening to the east, that intrusion is happening even though we're not by the ocean. The recharge areas are limited to the area that I show on the near the Merced River and the San Joaquin River. And then as you go to the areas that need most of the water, it's mostly predominated by clay layers. And obviously as we know, those areas that have little recharge would have the largest cones of depression. And we have also water moving from our basin to the surrounding basin. So our basin is a losing basin to the neighboring basin. All right, next slide. So some of the major challenges we have, the basin is typical to the area, to basins in the San Joaquin River. We have a clay layer that we call the Corcoran Formation that creates a confined aquifer below it. And the slide on the left shows groundwater levels dropping above the Corcoran. The one that is in the middle shows groundwater levels dropping below the Corcoran, and one to the lower right is for areas that have no Corcoran. Actually, they're open aquifers, and you will see with these that the below the Corcoran there's some serious groundwater in the most darkest red that we have, and then on the out of Corcoran, also the areas that have the least chance for recharge are the ones that have the most challenging groundwater levels. What is interesting about this basin, and I was looking at the other two presentations, we have groundwater levels that goes shallow on the north west, and then as you go to the southeast, they go deep. So we go from a 10-foot groundwater levels in areas by the confluence of the Merced and the San Joaquin down to 400 feet deep as you go to the southeast, and that creates a pretty interesting challenge as far as management and allowing for the movement of water and credits and so on, which Matt will touch on. Next slide. This is interesting. This shows the water balance with everything that is happening from precip to groundwater pumping to seepage from streams and so on. The average groundwater pumping in this basin is about 600,000 acre feet. In the drought of the last drought, the number went up to 800,000 acre feet with a deficit of 260,000 acre feet. Another unique feature of our water budget is that the MID has 800 miles of open channels that contributes about 120,000 acre feet a year in what we call developed water, which is water in the ground that has a surface water signature. And so that shows you the kind of challenge. The Merced Urban GSA is a balanced as far as the water budget goes. If I do another slide that shows only the Merced Urban GSA, you wouldn't be seeing the deficit in storage. However, the deficit of storage for the whole basin is generated by pumping happening either in the surrounding GSAs in the basin or also with the pumping that is happening in adjacent basins, which makes it quite a challenge. I'll probably talk about that at the end. Next slide. So I'm going to pass it to Matt. As you see with our presentation, we wanted to concentrate on the GSA mechanics, the policies, and how to meet the Sigma and how to kind of look into the future and stay sustainable from a policy and management perspective. So I'll pass it to you, Matt.
Thank you. So as Hisham mentioned, we have a stakeholder guidance committee that was formed to help guide implementation policies for the Merced Irrigation Urban GSA. The stakeholder committee was made up of many different interests, so it included environmental We had some disadvantaged community folks, we had urban interests, and we had agricultural interests. We'll talk about some of the policies that were discussed and considered, and what examples we looked at to look at those policies. But at the end of the day, the feedback that we got was that landowners or pumpers should have, when we look at establishing policies, should establish policies that have a relatively high or high certainty and a moderate flexibility. So this high certainty would be akin to being sustainable early, and flexibility would allow a landowner to potentially move water or provide opportunities for landowners to manage and potentially move their water between their parcels. Next slide, please. We realized that although we've been involved in groundwater management in Merced Basin for a very long time, much like Ryan, we have groundwater management plans that go back to the early 90s. We've been managing water as a district for over 100 years now. But we wanted to look at existing groundwater management examples throughout the United States. And so we looked primarily at natural resources districts in Nebraska, but we also looked at other groundwater management agencies. The concepts that we focused on were allocation period lengths, the opportunity to borrow ahead. So if you have an allocation period, could you borrow from a future allocation? Carryover would be the ability to use unused allocation in a future period, looking at the opportunities for enforcement and penalties, allowing pooling of groundwater allocations, which is that would be limited. Pooling and trading are similar, but pooling would be for a like owner. They could move their allocation between parcels that they own. Trading would be between separate owners. And then also limiting allocation years. So initially we talked about if there was a dry year, could you tighten down and restrict groundwater pumping? But our stakeholders also suggested that if there's a wet year, that you limit pumping in that case to encourage surface water use. Next slide, please. Throughout through this process early on, we looked at the water supplies available for ag use. So much like other folks, we looked at precipitation, surface water, which is primarily delivered from Merced Irrigation District, and it's fairly consistent, but it does vary some. Looking at native groundwater, which is where the allocation would come from, and then also acknowledging the developed supply, which is recognized in the Merced GSP. In this case, developed supply is seepage from imported surface water in canals and deep percolation. In the GSP, we have 121,000 acre feet per year on average from canal seepage. Next slide, please. Looking at the average usage for our ag folks, Hisham mentioned the 100,000 acres of conjunctive users. So these are folks that use surface water, normally use surface water, and they might supplement with groundwater. So on average, the conjunctive users use 1.1 acre foot per acre per year. There are 30,000 acres that are solely reliant on groundwater, and those folks use about 3.3 acre feet per acre. These numbers do vary a little bit, but not every farmer or ag user is exactly the same, but on the aggregate, these are the numbers that we're looking at. Next slide, please. And the punchline here is that from the stakeholders, we got a series of recommendations. Some of them were not so surprising and others were. So at the end of the day, they suggested that we have a maximum allocation period of 3 years. So how that would look is the board would adopt an allocation, and that volume of water could be used at any point in time over those 3 years, but with a not to exceed amount on that volume of water. The stakeholders also recommended that we provide for carryover, but set limits and limitations on the carryover, and also have a carryover loss associated with it. Our stakeholders were very focused on having penalties. They thought that was a key component of having a successful program. They suggested having allowing pooling. So we established, oh, I'm forgetting off the top of my head. It's 5 or 6 zones that separate. So these are separate. If an owner has separate parcels and it's a common irrigator, they could pool their water with specified geographic zones with hydrologic limitations. So as Deshaun mentioned, we have areas where we have extremely shallow groundwater and also extremely deep groundwater levels. So we would need to recognize those pooling zones in that policy. And then also the stakeholders suggested that the board should have the power to set allocation limits during exceptionally wet or dry periods. There weren't any numbers that were established or agreed to, but that there's a recognition that the board should be able to do that. The two concepts of borrow ahead and trading were sort of tabled. Borrow ahead, the stakeholders felt it should not be allowed at all at this time. And then trading was along the same lines, but I think there's a little bit of a recognition that it would come sooner than later. The other recommendations that we got from the group were that we should start with the allocation at or near the sustainable yield early on, and that we should require flow meters, and but recognizing the lift of installing flow meters on every well out there, we would use ET data in the interim. Next slide, please. As a result of those recommendations, the MIGUSA board adopted 2 policies last year. The first was a groundwater allocation of 3.3 acre feet per acre from April 1 of 2023 through December 31st, 2025. It's essentially a 3-year period. So a grower could use 1.1 acre foot per acre on average, or they could use the 3.3 however they decide within that time period. And then in addition to that, the board established a well registration requirement looking at generally the well construction information, location of the well, and the area of the well services. The table on the right shows the schedule for when these well registrations are due. And I highlighted probably the biggest push, or the biggest challenge is to get the agricultural acres or wells that serve agricultural parcels greater than 10 acres registered by April 1 of 2023. We've made significant progress on this. I would say at this point, not every well is registered, but we have had a good response and we'll be following up on that. Upcoming for this year, summer 2023, we're aiming to finalize rules and regulations and a groundwater management implementation plan. So those will go into very specific details on it'll be a comprehensive rules and regulations, and the groundwater management implementation plan will go into some of the moving details. So that'll look at like flow meter requirements, how we're going to measure, and how we'll manage on a more fluid basis. Next slide, please. So a big reason why we're here is because we are a pilot partner on the groundwater accounting platform. This is quite obviously a work in progress, but this will be an instrumental piece in allowing, the way we see it is that it'll be instrumental in allowing growers and us as managers to better understand water use. As a district, we have many data management systems. So for example, we have one that is focused strictly on tracking surface water use. We intend to continue using that program and kind of shift how we're using that to also include groundwater use. So we see that the platform will need to be able to accept all the different water use types that we can provide to it. It'll essentially, for us, we see that it'll essentially come out as a graphical user interface. The accounting platform will include whatever water types are available to a grower, including surface water, precipitation. We hope to include the recharge credits, et cetera, in there. Next slide, please. And so I kind of flew through those policies. That's been a huge focus for us. But I don't want to move past the part that projects are also critical. We've been through some feedback that we've got from our stakeholders. We are really working to promote on-farm recharge efforts and in particular small scale recharge. So our growers have indicated that they would like to have smaller projects so that way they can manage their water. This can be done in a variety of ways. Right now we're looking at 1 to 2 acre recharge basins or flooding temporarily fallow lands, dry well recharge projects, recharge through reverse tile drains, and then the other one is dual irrigation systems. So many of our growers have transitioned to more high efficiency systems, and many have their flood irrigation still in place. And so in concept, you would use a high efficiency system during curtailment years, and then we'd promote flood irrigation during wet years. You want to talk about flood more?
Yeah. Back to Hisham. So we have been working on the concept of flood management, aquifer recharge, taking flood water and put it on farmlands and so on since 2015. In fact, we have partnered with DWR to get a first permit in the state this year to take water out of Mariposa Creek, and which is an area that is an area that is impacted by subsidence. In fact, also yesterday we went out of a committee for AB 863. Is it 863? 830, I think. To allow for reducing the California Department of Wildlife jurisdiction over these type of temporary flood water when there's flooding and so on, just to kind of allow the folks to be flexible and be able to take water. So we have been working very hard on that, and we believe it will open a lot of doors for those who don't have any surface water rights. And in our case, the reason or selfish reason is that while the water is going to our neighbors and so on, because of MID, that we already have water rights on some of these creeks anyway, is because we share the same groundwater basin and their only access to water is through groundwater, and would like to reduce that. So we believe that this thing is going to be big as we move forward. And it sounds like the executive order that came out of the governor this year was in the same line as a result of our working with DWR and our finding. Next slide. I think next slide is mine. Yep. So some of the ongoing challenges, as I said, the Merced Irrigation Urban GSA is balanced, and the reason is because we have access to surface water from the Merced River. Our watershed is actually Yosemite National Park. And however, most of the challenges happen because of the groundwater pumping in the basin, and you saw the deficit of 260,000 acre feet, which is not a small deficit. The problem is while we are working on focusing on meeting sustainable conditions as fast as we can within our GSA, the Merced Basin GSA has no rules for allocation, and they want to talk about the final allocation, and our position is work on what you have to do right now, and rather than figuring out the last 1/10 of an acre foot one way or the other when the average pumping is 4 acre foot per acre in your area. So that's one of the challenges. Also, we have the challenge farms irrigation system that cross the GSA boundaries. We're trying to kind of figure out if we have an allocation on our side, there's no allocation on the other side, and we have well on the other GSA versus a well in our area servicing the other side, how we are going to police those, and are we going to be having water leaving the GSA to the surrounding GSAs because there's no limitation on our neighboring GSAs, and also obviously communication. We could see that there's a lot of there's two types of people that we are seeing out there: people who are genuinely, especially outside the GSA, people who are genuinely would like to kind of look at sustainability and would like to stay in the business, and the other, there's also people that would like to kind of drag their feet until they have to do something, and maybe they will go sell the farm or just wait until their crops are grown. And so there's some panic there, and that is, and us trying to kind of, and those areas, a lot of them they call white areas. They have never been managed, and we try to kind of reach out and kind of show ways and methods of how people could kind of work together and come up with some ideas and how to kind of slow the impact, and how they have to realize that there will be a reduction in groundwater, in ag land. The next one is coordination with adjacent basin. We have, I mentioned about subsidence, and it's impacting 3 basins, Merced Basin, the Chowchilla Basin, and the Delta Mendota Basin. And we know where the origin of the subsidence is. And while we are ready to move as fast as we can, the other basins, they have other issues too, which is causing us not moving as fast as we can. The Department of Water Resources would like to see 0 subsidence, and that is something that will impact us, but we cannot control if the pumping is happening from the adjacent basins. So you can see how that is a challenge. Groundwater levels are still plummeting, and the problem that we see is that since most of the domestic wells are in our area, the focus will be on Megusa, that is trying to kind of go all the way down to 1.1 acre foot per acre, which is pretty close to a balanced situation if you take the amount of water available and divided it over the ag land or the areas that use groundwater in the basin. And while we're doing all of this, we still we're seeing drops in groundwater levels and impacted domestic basins happening because of outside pumping. And the other thing that also, which I think that is a very sensitive issue, is that while we are doing reporting on GSP, which impacts the whole basin, and it shows how conditions are. Like I said, we have a big deficit in storage and so on. The picture is that this basin has a problem, but doesn't show that some GSAs are doing everything they need to do while others are not. So there's no progress from the state looking at what type of policies you have, what type of education you have for a particular GSA. They only look at the status of the basin. So that is going to be another thing that we have to kind of go out and explain, that if things start looking the way that this basin may be on probation because of the excessive groundwater pumping, that this GSA has been doing everything we need to do to make sure that we stay sustainable. And the last one, which I already talked about, is the flood mark permitting. We are expanding. We are going to go for another permit on another big creek that we have that sees about 7,000 CFS during storms and so on in the basin. And then we're going to go also even all the way to Merced River to take flood flows and try to see how we're going to move this water around, mostly to outside the Megusa. I think this is my presentation. Hopefully, we didn't do too bad on time. We failed to mention our websites. There's a website for the Merced GSP. What is that?
MercedSigma.org.
MercedSigma.org, and the other one is the Megusa website, which is
Either MercedGroundwater.org or Megusa.org.
There you go. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hisham and Matt. Really appreciate it. So now we're gonna be moving into the question and answer. Excuse me. Wow. Session of this panel. So just want to thank you all again for presenting. And then thanks to those of you that have put some questions in the chat. We're kind of curating those and making sure that we can pull them together and answer them or get them presented as best as we can. I think before we jump into the panelist questions, I did want to ask, one question of each of you. I think, a lot of times when we're, looking at projects and just, developing programs like this, we think a lot of our challenges. But I wanted to see if you all wouldn't mind talking about what do you see as maybe the biggest success that you achieved as you implemented these projects and management actions, or going through the process of implementing them. Maybe we can start with Kristen.
The biggest challenge has been in the process of implementing them has been our funding. Something that I didn't really touch on is since the formation of the Groundwater Sustainability Agency, we've primarily been funded by member agencies' contributions. And we need to work towards a more sustainable solution that's directly connected to the beneficial users and considers the beneficiary pays aspect. And so that's something that the way we wrote our JPA, we wanted projects to be funded by beneficiaries, but establishing a structure or a system that accounts for that can be time consuming. And so we're looking forward to hearing about DWR's Sigma implementation grant funding opportunity, because that's something that in the meantime, while we're working on that structure, could potentially help us kick off some of our projects.
So, Chris, I really appreciate you identifying the challenge. I was wondering if maybe you can identify maybe some successes. So, like, what do you see as like the biggest maybe accomplishment? That's something that was like long term that you've like maybe your agency been wanting to do for a while, and this sort of was kind of a breakthrough.
Apologies, for some reason I thought I heard you say challenge. Okay, so
yeah, no problem.
The really exciting one that took place this year was the Dunnigan Area Recharge Program. The stars were really aligning for them to move forward, and with some of the streamlined permitting that came up, it was a good example of having things kind of all aligned at the right time to be able to take advantage of any excess flows that are in the system and to recharge the aquifer. And that has been something that we've considered a success, and we want to try to promote and build up and see if there's any ways we can expand their program.
Thanks, Kristen. Brian, you want to chat about some successes or one specific success?
Sure. I think, in the early days of this agency, I think there was not a whole lot of community buy-in necessarily in what we were doing. And there was a disconnect between the projects the agency was trying to build to stop seawater intrusion and the benefit, whether, it's benefiting just growers in the coastal basin versus, the folks who are in the backside of the basin that aren't at risk from seawater intrusion, for instance. I think one of the successes of this agency, probably starting around 2008 and building on for the last 15 years, has been continuing to become more transparent and developing better outreach materials and providing education to the community. I think we've got sort of more support from our community now than we have had in the first half of our existence. And some of that has to do with Sigma having become adopted, because prior to Sigma, we were, charging groundwater augmentation charges and delivered water fees for management actions, but it was, not a state mandate. It was what we were doing because our community came together in the 80s and said, you have to figure out how to stop overdraft and seawater intrusion. Once Sigma became a thing, signed into law, then all of a sudden, it took a little bit of time, but when we were advancing along, we had already developed our basin management plan. It was all shiny and brand new in 2014 in the spring. And eventually when it got adopted or approved by the state, by DWR, then the community is like, all right, what we've been doing for the last 10 years has been useful, and sort of the state approving it showed that sort of, validated our efforts. And, now when some of our growers in our basin tend to grow not just in our basin, they might be growing in the Salinas Valley, and they might also be growing down in the desert in the wintertime. And so they see what's happening elsewhere in the state, and they see what's happening here. And we've gotten more positive feedback, even from some of the folks who were, more vocal critics in the past. Don't get me wrong, they're still not afraid to call me up and tell me all the things that we're not doing right necessarily, but it's done in a softer way maybe than it used to be. So I think that's a big success. And some of that is just shown because we're building, we're advancing this project that just from the award of contract forward is probably going to cost us, about $82 million. And we would have never gotten that far if the community didn't support the effort.
Thanks, Brian. Hasham and Matt, you want to speak to your maybe the biggest success that you've seen as part of this PMA implementation?
Yeah, I think our stakeholder guidance committee is quite an eye opener. We have some of the most ardent critics to the district who are farmers on the stakeholder guidance committee, and yet they have been very adamant about policies, penalties, checks and balances. So we were very surprised actually in the beginning, but we're very pleased that we see that we have the support that we're getting from what we didn't we expected, that growers will be pushing back so hard. And we also expected that them wanting to be sitting on this stakeholder guidance committee were there to slow things down, not to move things forward. So I thought that was by us explaining what's happening and how the Sigma works and what the tools that we have. We thought that was a good thing. And as Matt mentioned, well registration was something that people thought that it will not happen. People don't take you seriously. Nobody cares, and so on, unless if you put penalties. And we were so far we're pleased to see that there's a lot of response to these policies. And on the challenging side, it will always be communication with the whole growers. We have 2,400 growers in our area, and making sure that we communicate with them, explain everything to them, take out all the gossip and the conspiracy theory and all that, and filtering all that and showing them that that's not what is happening, and this is how things are going, and so on. That's gonna be an ongoing challenge. But the response that we're seeing so far gives us, I think, makes us optimistic that this thing is going to take some time, but it's moving forward. You want to add anything to that, Matt?
Oh, thank you both. Yeah, I appreciate that. Now, we want to get into some of the questions that we've received in the chat. We had one question that was specific to Merced, and it was a clarifying question. What was the highest groundwater level that you experienced? And the lowest was about 400 feet below ground. I just want to see if you can maybe speak to that, or if you feel more comfortable putting that in the chat. Yeah, that's fine too.
Oh, I mean the shallowest.
I believe.
Yeah, the shallowest. Yeah, if you go to the closer to the confluence with McKean County Water District and so on, those folks have tile drains. They have issues with shallow groundwater of 10, 15 feet deep in some areas, but then it drops quickly as you start going to the southeast.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
I think there was another question about Mariposa Creek.
There was, yes, actually, we can talk about that too. How are you addressing the risk of increased nitrates contamination in groundwater result of recharge on dairy lands?
Yeah, so what we have for this round, we have no recharge going on to any dairy land. We have to go through a process, and I think everybody has to look at that, because just because you have a parcel within the dairy program, dairy land program, doesn't mean it's a dairy land. It could be an almond orchard that is part of the whole management for nitrates. So as long as I think we'll go through the process of that. It's going to take its own clarification.
Oh, we lost audio there, Hasham. I think we still don't have audio there. Is it working now? Oh, no, still can't hear you. Shoot. Well, maybe we can put a pause on the response to that question. We'll circle back. Maybe hopefully you can get that audio issue resolved. But there was a question that we got about the water accounting tool. And and that's obviously something that kind of links all of you together, being a part of that pilot study. And the question was specifically about, does the tool allow for the trading of water allocations? While I'm not specifically involved in this effort from the DWR side, I do know that that is an option that can be added into the tool itself. And so maybe I'll go on to the second part of the question that we got from the chat, which is, can the unused groundwater pumped be traded to other growers, within the basin, or can it be traded to the same grower but on different parcels? So that's something that's specific to your all's, basins. And so maybe, Kristen, you want to go first and answer that question?
Yeah, so we're kind of lagging behind the other agencies. We didn't really take the lead as part of this. We're just learning a lot from Pajaro and Merced. And so we are looking forward to that functionality, but I can't really speak to exactly how it's been developed in our system yet, because we're not just there. So I'll pass it to Brian.
Sounds good.
I think, the groundwater accounting platform itself is just a tool, right? It's essentially a database with a nice graphical user interface. So I think it could be programmed to sort of do anything you want, whether you want to allow a trade of some sort for one water source for another source would be dependent upon the policies of any individual groundwater basin. Now, we're not really focusing so much on that aspect of the accounting platform in Pajaro because we're not at present considering trading as management action down here. But I know that it was kind of started, I think that the tool was initially developed in part to satisfy that need.
Thanks, Brian. All right, Hisham and Matt, are we able to hear you now? I can't, nope, nothing. Shoot. Sorry about this. It's a bummer. Well, let's go to another question real quick. We only have a few minutes left. We want to be able to make sure that you all have a chance to have a break before our next segment. This is, well, this is a big question, and it was acknowledged as much when it was asked. And so maybe can keep these questions or the responses a little bit short, which is, have any of the panelists considered or started an economic impact analysis of SGMA to the local economy, impacts to large, small growers, ag-based businesses, et cetera? I think maybe rather than ask specific or answer that's specific components. I mean, if you have specifics, but maybe if what you're considering doing within your basins. So maybe Kristen, you want to go first?
Sure. It's a very big question, and it is something that we've started to ask ourselves, but we haven't initiated a full-blown analysis or survey of what the impact would be based on the setting of thresholds and criteria within our plan. It is something that we are wanting to work really closely with the County Board of Supervisors on, especially in that discussion of considering land use policy decisions based on the available water, because it seems like there will be an economic impact to the county as a whole if there are certain properties that can no longer be developed. And so, very loaded question and something we want to work towards, but we have just barely scratched the surface and starting to initiate those conversations.
Thanks, Kristen. Brian, you want to tackle the question of economic analyses, or just whether or not those have been started?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I appreciate you always tossing the Kristen first so she can kind of break the ice and make it easier for me. That works out pretty well. I think that, one of the things we like to do here is collaborate with other entities, whether it's the state or universities. And so while our board of directors or staff may not have directly started this kind of program, we've been approached by various researchers and professors over the years, and we've engaged with them in various studies. So there's someone who's out of UC Davis initially, who I think is now out of Berkeley, who's an economist and was connected with the Cooperative Extension, who's done some research. I think some of the papers may have been published. This is Ellen Bruno's work, who you may be familiar with. And, she in particular was curious about what's the effect of our rates on agricultural activities within the basin through time. And she's looked at various linkages between sort of our rate structure through time, irrigated acreage, salinity, and groundwater. So there's been some connections there. And I see Molly Bruce is on this call as a participant. We're working with sort of her group and UC Santa Cruz, Andy Fisher, and the Clee Center at Berkeley. And they've been looking at similar things, not an economic analysis of the whole basin, but more specifically of our recharge net metering program, and sort of how that compares in a value basis relative to other programs and management actions we have going on. I think there's a paper that's going to be being published on that one here pretty soon. So we've sort of touched on this topic through some ancillary studies by independent researchers who are publishing through their own peer-reviewed work, but we haven't engaged in a full study on our own. We've worked with Sam Sandoval-Solis at UC Davis, who did sort of an analysis of the impact to the agricultural community on our conservation goal, which was based on the input from our community, had to be a voluntary program. But UC Davis came in and looked at it and said, okay, if all the growers are to conserve, say, 10% water, what's the impact on agriculture within the valley, and is that achievable? So Dr. Sandoval-Solis had published on that maybe 5 or 7 years ago. So there are some studies out there for Pajaro, various aspects of the economic analysis.
So unfortunately, we're at time, and we need to move on to the next segment. Matt and Hisham, I'm sorry we didn't get to get your responses to some of the questions for today, but I just want to say one last huge thank you to Kristen and Brian, Matt and Hisham for presenting today. Just really appreciate you making the forum. Obviously, providing this information, allow everybody to be more informed, and hopefully educate some folks on some practices they can be employing as they move forward with implementing their projects and management actions. So I think the next thing is now I'm going to turn it over to Christy again.
Excellent. Thanks
Yeah,
so
thank
much,
you.
Keith.
Thank
And thank
you.
you, panelists, very much. So we are going to give everybody a short break, but before we do that, we want to go ahead and section people out into breakout sessions that we're going to do right when we come back from the break. So if next slide, please. We're getting ready to show you. So we have breakout rooms for each different type of PMA type that we know that people were interested in talking about at today's forum. So you'll see them as a list. I want to call special attention to the last two. If you do not see the type of project that you wanted to be able to discuss today in the top 5, then you might want to choose the other management actions, which will allow you to meet with some other folks who have ones that aren't really covered by some of the other topics. I also want to point out the very last one that's on there, which is a PMA's where to start. Sometimes we have folks joining us who may not know a lot about what project management actions are, how they get prioritized, seeking funding for them, those type of things. So that might be a good one to go into if you have something that's kind of a bigger picture look at projects and management actions. So you might want to head there. Before we put the poll up, which will allow you to decide which one you want, I just want to go over a couple of logistics. So when we take a break, we're going to give you about a 5-minute break to stretch. Go ahead and stay logged in, but turn both your camera and your microphone off. And the reason why we need you to stay logged in is because it's going to allow us to get you to your breakout room more quickly. And so just make sure you just kind of leave it there. So if we go ahead and put the poll up for everybody, and you'll see it in a little box poll. And if you just select the one that you want, And then once you hit submit, it will let you know that you've done it correctly. It'll give you a little thank you message. And that way we know which one you're going to be in. So if you see that little box disappear in the thank you message, then we've gone ahead and we've recorded which room you'd like to be in. And once you've done that, please feel free to take a break and we will meet back here just before 11 o'clock. All right, Atlee, have we ushered everybody back from the breakout rooms?
Yes, we have.
Excellent. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the general session. I am not Heather Shannon, the name on the slide, but I will introduce you. I know it's a familiar name to most people if you work within Sigma and with GSPs. So Heather Shannon is the supervising engineering geologist with DWR, and she is going to be presenting a very, very big segment that I know a lot of you are looking forward to, and that is kind of what's new and what's going on with DWR. So Heather, go ahead.
All right, well, thanks, Christy, and welcome back, everybody, to from the breakout rooms. I hope everyone's enjoying this morning's session. I know I think there's been a lot of great information that's been shared, and hopefully everyone is taking notes and making new contacts and just learning a lot. So. Again, as Christy said, my name is Heather Shannon. I'm a supervising engineering geologist in our Sustainable Groundwater Management Office, and I lead one of our outreach and engagement sections here at DWR. So today I'm going to be providing you with a brief update on some assistance before we jump to lunch. I know it's getting close to that lunch hour. So as many of you are aware, DWR provides facilitation support services to GSAs and others that are working with GSAs to implement Sigma within their respective basins. Facilitation support services are focused on helping those local agencies work through challenges associated with implementing Sigma and encouraging active involvement of diverse cultural, social, and economic interests. So the map shown here on the right side of this slide illustrates where DWR is currently providing FSS support. We're in the process of developing additional agreements and scoping out additional work right now that may not be shown here on this map, but will be updated soon. We're also in the process of developing a mapping application that we can host on our public website, where we can show not only the current FSS support that the department's providing, but to showcase where we've previously provided FSS in the past. So in addition to facilitation support, DWR has made written translation services available to GSAs or other groups assisting in local Sigma implementation to communicate the groundwater planning and implementation activities to non-fluent English-speaking constituents in those basins. Our written translation services, if you're not familiar, are available in Chinese, Hmong, Korean, Laotian, Punjabi, Spanish, Tagalog, and Vietnamese. So if you have interest in receiving support on written translation, you can find additional information on our website. And I think Emily's sharing some of the links in our chat box today. Finally, I wanted to just highlight our verbal translation pilot study that's ongoing. So following a survey that we conducted in the spring of 2022 to gauge the interest of GSAs in receiving verbal translation services, the department kicked off a verbal translation pilot program. And the goal of this program really is to engage those underrepresented communities within basins to better engage the communities and encourage that equal access for non-fluent English speakers in the implementation of GSPs. So the pilot program is limited in scope. We are offering, we have a total of 10 meetings that we're conducting as part of the program. And we've held successful meetings so far in the Kauai, Madera, and Indio subbasins, and are in the process right now of exploring, working with some GSAs to explore other meetings in the next couple months. So the department is currently exploring opportunities for funding of a future program to allow for additional translation services. So if you are interested in learning more or discussing the possibility of having this type of support in your basin at an upcoming SGMA implementation meeting, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact info will be in the chat box, and we have a wonderful team that's supporting those efforts. And we look forward to interacting with you all. So next slide, please. So as many of you are probably aware, the department released a considerations for identifying and addressing drinking water well impacts guidance document earlier this month. And this document focuses on 3 main objectives. First, the document aims to clarify how the interests of drinking water users are identified and addressed consistent with SGMA and the GSP regulations. Second, the document provides an online toolkit to identify tools and resources that can be used by GSAs to enhance their GSP and public outreach efforts related to drinking water well users during the SGMA GSP implementation, and also for periodic updates. So these tools that are provided in the online toolkit are intended for use by the GSAs when they're updating, assessing, and amending their GSPs. Finally, this document identifies complementary initiatives or programs that highlight opportunities for coordination between the GSAs and counties with water management responsibilities in their basin. So next slide. So to clarify how impacts to drinking water users are identified and addressed consistent with SGMA and the GSP regulations, the document presents this conceptual progression of an adaptive management cycle, which GSAs may follow multiple times during their planning and implementation horizon. As you all know, GSAs have already submitted their GSPs, but through their annual reports and periodic updates that are required, GSAs are required to identify their progress towards achieving their sustainability goals. And so as the GSAs move forward with implementation, it's likely they'll need to amend their plan to new information becoming available. And as we've just talked about projects and management actions this morning, there may be a need to update their projects and management actions as they're better understanding these conditions in their basin. So the guidance document provides a subsection associated with each step in this cycle and refers to relevant sections in the GSP regulations, as well as provides considerations for GSAs as they're thinking about their drinking water well users within their basin. In addition, each section includes a link to the online toolkit and items that are associated with these different components that could be used as resources for those GSAs. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned in reference to the drinking water document, there is a section at the end that discusses or highlights complementary drinking water initiatives and programs, and encourages GSAs to coordinate closely with counties, cities, and other other folks with water management responsibilities in their basin. And so in coordination with the release of the drinking water document, the department released the alignment and coordination water shortage planning for rural communities and sustainable groundwater management brochure. And so this brochure highlights opportunities for coordination and collaboration between counties and GSAs in implementing efforts related to programs on water shortage planning and coordination with the sustainable groundwater management. If you haven't already looked at these items, I'd highly encourage you to take a look. The team has provided links to these documents that are available on our website. I think you'll find them very useful in moving forward through implementation. Now I'd like to turn it back over to my colleague Keith Wallace to wrap up some of the final assistance items.
Thanks, Heather. Appreciate that. And I wanted us to take a couple minutes here and talk about a recent executive order that supports groundwater recharge. For those of you that may not be aware, on March 10th of this year, Governor Newsom signed Executive Order N423. And what it does is it temporarily lifted some regulations for diverting floodwater for groundwater recharge when there is an imminent risk of flooding from snowmelt. And so on March 23rd, DWR, the State Board, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife jointly hosted a webinar to discuss the requirements of the EO and answer any participant questions. A recap of this webinar was provided in our March 30th SIGMO newsletter. And within that newsletter, it included a link to a number of helpful resources that can be accessed through the Open Data portal. We're including a link to that specific Open Data portal in the chat. And what it includes is like a number of different items there, and one of them being a public question form. And what this form can be used is if you have general questions or you're looking for technical assistance, resources, or just have questions about the reporting requirements related to this EO, you can fill out that form and submit it. And once you have submitted that form, your question will be answered by DWR representative as soon as possible. We have somebody monitoring that. All right, next slide. Okay, we're starting to wrap up here. And so before we do that completely, we wanted to share a few next step items with you. Want to have you or encourage you to complete the survey for this event. We're going to provide the link in the chat. And we put this survey together because we want these events to be relevant and beneficial to you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the forum, that we want to continue having these on a 6-month basis. We'll have another one in the fall. And so we're going to use the results of this survey to really inform what the next theme should be and how we can improve the structure of the forum as we're moving forward. And then please also keep an eye out for some post-event materials. This includes a recording of the panel presentation and the question and answer session. We're going to have a directory of the forum participants. And then we'll send you out a notification through email when these are available. And we anticipate it should be by the end of this month. So we hope hope for joining us for the fall 2023 forum, and we'll share a save the date for that event through our SIGMO newsletter, and that's likely to happen in the summer timeframe. And so if you have in the meantime, if you have questions about the forum, please contact. It's our sgmps@water.gov email. That also is something that's monitored on a regular basis, and so we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Next slide, please. All right, lastly, just wanted to thank all of you for attending today's GSA forum. We really appreciate your engagement in our breakout sessions and the questions you provided, and then just obviously being encouraged, or I should say interested in SIGMO implementation. We really appreciate that. Also, just want to say a huge thank you to our forum panelists, Kristen Sicki, Brian Lockwood, Hasham Altal, and Matt Beeman. Just really appreciate you taking the time to develop your presentations and your willingness to share the lessons learned. And and just what you all are doing within your respective basins. Next, I want to say thank you to Stantec for helping us organize and run this event. Specifically, thank you, to Christy for hosting, Atlee for operating the Zoom meeting and breakout sessions. Obviously, Zoom can be kind of finicky, and so we really appreciate you being nimble there. And then thanks to Emily for monitoring the chat and sharing the pertinent links as we've been going throughout this. And then obviously many others within Stantec for supporting this event. Next, I want to thank the DWR team for acting as facilitators and recorders for leading the breakout sessions. And then lastly, huge thank you to Amelia Wisniewski, from DWR for planning, organizing, and leading this event. Definitely couldn't have had it without you. So really appreciate all your work there. So that does it, for this spring 2023 GSA forum. We look forward to seeing you again in the fall. And again, appreciate your participation today. We hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.